But show yourself some grace. We don't all tick at the same pace. So we're not on that same clock, even though there is a standard time. What's the standard? It depends where you are and who you are.
Right.
You know, and in your environment. There's so many things influencing it. And if you just believe in perfect time, you'll honor that things are coming to you at the time it's meant to. You don't have to force it. You know, force for me is a sign that I'm pushing and it's not naturally happening. And I'm not saying don't ever push, but be aware of how much you do or don't.
Everybody has a story to tell that makes them extraordinary, and that's what this podcast is all about. Welcome back to Conversations with Caitlin.
Welcome back to Conversations with Caitlin. I'm thrilled to have you with us for another fantastic episode where we talk to ordinary people doing absolutely extraordinary things. My guest this week is one of my all-time favorite people that I met actually in the event industry. She is a creative. She is one of the most kind, joyful, and totally reflective people that I've ever met. And so without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce my guest, Melissa Desrameaux.
Hi.
Dot, welcome to the show, baby.
Thank you. I know you know me as Dot.
I do.
Professional nickname, and it stuck. Well, it's
And it
from
does.
college, and then it became a professional
And those
nickname.
ones kind of stick with us, don't they?
It's just crazy how it got chopped down. Because
love it.
I'd be with other Melissas, and they could say every Melissa's last name but mine. So then when they get to me, they'd say, oh, Melissa D. Dot.
D. Dot.
And then that just got chopped down to Dot. And the heartbreak when people are like, my grandmother's name is Dorothy.
Dorothy. No.
Not my name.
You're like, not me yet, but I love that for you.
Yes.
All right, doll. Well, as you know, I am so excited as a fellow creative to see this baby come to life. This gorgeous published book, Anthologically Speaking by Dot, just released actually a couple weeks ago to the public.
Yeah, back in March. Like,
My
the
gosh.
time is flying. It is.
I love it. So before we dive into this creative work, because it's as visually beautiful as it is impactful with the words that are held within it, I would love for you to share a little bit with our listeners, a little bit about your journey professionally, because I think a lot of the incredible things you've done have really predicated something like this kind of stirring and churning and then ultimately being released on the world, which we couldn't be happier.
So, well, where do I begin? Okay, so I relocated just immediately after graduating college with a degree in public relations.
Love it.
From South Florida to Las Vegas. I was high on Jesus. I was like, I'm going to be fine, Mom. Don't worry. I'm in good hands.
Yes.
So I get here to really build my career either in communications or events, but my heart was like events.
Yes.
So I just really leaned into that, from Divine Events to Freshwater to Window Media, working with the Life is Beautiful.
Incredible.
Then going to the Las Vegas Review Journal, working for Viticus Group. And then I went back to Freshwater, and now I'm running their venue, 8,000 square feet. And I felt like so rewarded in everything I was doing, but then I didn't feel fulfilled. And I've been writing poetry my whole life, but it just lives in this digital vortex. After I type it up, it's just hanging out on Google Drive.
It's on the metaphorical shelf, right? We just, it'll sit up there till someday.
And I have hundreds. So I decide, okay, what if I just publish them, And I'm like, should I get a publisher or should I self-publish? And after speaking to a couple people, especially Vogue Robinson,
Vogue is fun. She wrote a poem for Discovery for our gala one year.
Really?
And I have a copy of it. It sits
Yeah.
on my little pin board.
Okay.
Fantastic poet.
Yes, she is. And she's just such a beautiful soul.
Yes.
But yeah, after she gave me a little bit of insight, I realized, I want to be in control.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody else to control the timeline, the art, to edit it. I wanted to preserve who I was when I wrote those poems.
I love it.
So I was like, okay, self-publishing it is. It's going to be on Amazon, da-da-da-da-da. And here we are.
And What an incredible journey. We were talking a little bit off camera before we got started here, and it's amazing the people, the places, the things that inspire works like this. Mm-hmm. And I would love for you to share a little bit about your teacher you were talking about, because I think we sometimes forget, and then some of us, the rare ones of us like you, remember those early people that are not our family, that are those outside kind of people seeing our talent.
Yeah.
That instill and inspire in us that we are good at this.
Mm-hmm. So this would be my yearbook and newspaper teacher, Sharon Brown. This was back in, obviously, Florida at Everglades High School. And everyone hated her. Like, she just had sass and attitude. She was not a pushover. And she kept it real. And there was something I loved about that, even though it was kind of like, ugh, but I loved it. And yeah, she really let me know that journalism or mass communication was where I belonged. And yeah, I remember her telling me, when you're editing, start from the last sentence. If you keep starting from the front, your brain is already used to that, and you'll start skimming naturally. Mm-hmm. So read it backwards to catch all your grammatical errors. So I'm probably on my 5th typo or 6th typo with the book, and a piece of me dies every time I catch one. And I hear her voice start with the end. Did you start with the end? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't. Sharon, I didn't. But then when it's poetry too, you're kind of easing up on the grammatical. You're just letting yourself express creatively what you're feeling and thinking. So just trying to show myself some grace. Let the PR hat come off.
Go away for 5 seconds.
Be the artist.
And it's so, we were chatting about this a little bit, and I think it's so important as creatives to use that big word that most of us are not good at, is grace.
Yeah.
And to realize that these beautiful gifts, this is such a gift to the world, to all of us who have the privilege of knowing you. This will live on for so many years when you're gone, when we're gone, when we're 100, because we've decided we're living till we're 100, ladies and gentlemen.
Speak for yourself.
Dot might be timeless. She may be like the kryptonite mommy that's like living till she's like 1,000. She might be the hot vampire. But
it sounds morbid, but I think I'm good if I check out at 65 on the path that I'm on now, single, childless.
Yeah.
Like, if that is the same status by 60, like, at that point, you think I'm crazy now?
Yeah.
Imagine being 65, not married, no child.
Yeah.
I feel fulfilled.
100%.
I feel rewarded. Let's have
what else
even more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, we're going to kick the fun
skydiving. I want to try it all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The zest for life, I when we lost my mom a couple of years ago to cancer, that has really resonated with me. People would say your mom had this zest for life. You are one of those people. You have this innate ability to see what it is, the beauty of it, the possibility. And I love what you were saying. I was reading, I think you're a foreword. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. And it says hopeful romantic, not hopeless.
Yes.
That is such an amazing, dot thing to me.
I'm just trying to shift perspective, right? I think a lot of the words we use, first of all, they're limited. Secondly, we're barely using them with proper intention. We're just using them because that's what we're used to hearing.
Right.
And yeah, it's like hopeless romantic, hopeless. I'm such a hopeful person.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna roll with hopeful romantic from now on. And then made that change, but left the L from hopeless. So.
Just in case you were wondering, Dot is a real person. She's an angel on earth, but she is a human being also. And again, just these. I just wrapped a show, live theater. I do theater, and it's so funny. They sent us our video of the show, right? And I'm always a little scared to watch it, right? Because it's watching yourself reading something that you've breathed life into, anything creative, right? There's always this little bit of trepidation, ooh, is it good? Isn't it good? But I think there's just something to be said about artists and the artistry I think you bring to the event space. It's very, very unique, your flair and the way that you see events. But you know, keeping that grace for ourselves and realizing we are human beings. And the beauty of what we create isn't in the perfection. Typically, the most relatable things we do is in the imperfection or the learnings or the, you know, we call it failing forward in my world with the museums. But
Oh, I stopped using failure a couple of years ago.
did you? Okay, what's
Yeah.
the replacement? We just don't say it.
There's a lesson. It's a
Love it.
success or a lesson.
I love that.
Yeah, you just have to keep empowering yourself. So, yeah, I took failure out a couple of years ago. And I even had a friend who was like, fail fast. You know, do it. Go and do it.
Yeah.
See if you're good at it.
Yeah.
Fail, learn, move on. And it kind of sat with me. I was like, dude, I don't want to just keep failing.
No.
But I want to keep learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is so important. So in your process of, you know, you are a full-time professional, you are working an incredibly busy schedule with Freshwater.
Yeah.
Your event space is incredible. If you are in Southern Nevada and you are looking for a space that is unique, beautiful, programmable, morphable into any world you can think of, Freshwater is it.
Well, our event space is Starbase. And it started off as Freshwater Studios. We didn't know how far or where this was going to go. We just we have all this space.
Right.
And we decked it out to show off our creativity, our capabilities, our inventory
Yes.
from the sister company, FWR.
Right.
So one client comes in and they're like, hey, can we just do a little think tank in here? A production that looked just like this with maybe about 15 people.
Love.
And after that, it snowballed. After one client saw the photo, the next client came, and people just started talking about it. So I took off that traveling producer hat to
Yes.
anchor down and just open up and operate that venue. And in the process, you know, people have their own vision for the experience. They have their own budgets for the
Right.
experience. They're not all Fortune 500 clients. So
That's right.
we were like, okay, we need to change the name. So that way people aren't automatically assuming every event happening in there is fully produced by Freshwater.
Right.
So that's when Starbase was born in 2020, in the middle of COVID. Can you
In the
believe that?
middle of COVID.
Yeah.
Some of the best, I feel like, gems, though, came out of that time. That again, another word in my vocabulary that just will not die, pivot.
Yeah.
Just like, how do we pivot out of like what we were doing and make it something better and cool? You guys
gosh.
are brilliant at that.
Well,
Unbelievable.
when you have such a creative leader, and I love that. I love that the business mindset isn't what like drives her, it's the creativity. And then she surrounds herself, you know, with people who will add that to it. So
Right.
it's just beautiful. I remember when we found out everything was shutting down and she was just like, oh, we're just going to hop in the metaverse. I'm like, excuse me?
You're like, ma'am.
We spent
Miss.
2 weeks solid trying every platform, going into everything, writing down what was cool, what was missing.
Right.
And then after doing that for a while, we were just like, okay, what about a drive-in?
But hilarious, but brilliant.
Yeah. So we were doing the drive-ins, we were trying with the metaverse, like we just wouldn't give up. And it's not that I gave up, but I said I wanted to see what else was out there for me. Was having this major ego death.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm moving to Austin. I was already in love with the city. And I told myself 10 years tops in Vegas. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right, girl.
But 10 years was right when COVID happened. And I was like, would you look at the time? I'm going to Austin.
I gotta go.
So, yeah, I went to Austin. It was like spring break for a year.
I love it. Austin is
beautiful.
an incredible city. Lots going on in your
Yeah.
world, in your creative space.
Feels so good there.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has that city that does that for them.
Yep.
For me, it's Austin.
It's so beautiful, and I feel like it's really also like our genre, our age, our
Yeah.
vibe of people. There are a massive amount of them
Yeah.
living in Austin,
It's a
and
very youthful town, like the
Yes.
energy. And then it's not like Vegas. Vegas is a lot of excitement,
yes,
which can get tiring.
say it louder for the people in the back, girl.
you just, it's not sustainable to constantly be in that excited state.
Yep.
It's wonderful to feel and experience, don't get me wrong, but it's like you have to pull back. And
Yep.
Vegas has so much to offer for you to do that. But you know so many people, the industry that I'm in, there's always a grand opening. There's always a
Always.
friend's show. There's just always something. And yeah, Austin was a little bit more slower pace.
Moseying. They mosey down the street.
I was very, very content. there, but not too overexcited or overstimulated. But yeah.
So what brought you back to Vegas?
Starbase.
See.
Yeah, so I was trying to like run it from afar. I was like, Trish, just like the old days. I fly in when you need me. I'll fly in when
Yeah.
And then it was like, shoot, no, I got to build a team. I can't build a team from Austin. So that's when I came back, because I was like flying back and forth. I was like, look at this jet-setting life.
This is great.
The ego that died was back full force.
She was back, baby. She said, I'm here.
Yeah, and so then I'm like, okay, wait, I can't build a team. I can't foster that camaraderie from Austin. So here, I came back.
So talk a little bit about this, because you really, I think, have grown this with your amazing leadership. That I think I did have the good fortune of meeting her when you had that big open house. Yeah. You guys really have established yourself in Southern Nevada as one of those go-to venues. I mean, I know you said not everyone has a Fortune 500 budget. God knows that nonprofits were not. But you attract some incredible orgs because you know how to do things just differently.
Yeah, I mean, so being a producer and we're going into all these venues, we know the frustrations and the joys.
Right.
So in our space, we're like, okay, we know what we need in place to be able to operate on the level that we need to operate to produce that excellence for our client.
Right.
But how do we meet them in the middle and educate them on that? You know, being in Las Vegas, one of the most by the book, you need to follow, dot your I's, cross your T's. And it's for public safety. It's for the reputation of the city, So I completely get it. And I have to educate people who don't. They're coming in from out of market. So it's just trying to make it simple for them, but still give them their options and try to make their vision happen as much as possible. Listen. And there's no like completely turning people away. It's just putting them in better hands if we're not the best hands.
Right.
And
you know everybody. So, I mean, I was going to say, you're like,
Barely.
if we can't do it, I'll go down the street. I'll
point you
get
in
you
the right
down to our
direction. I will
friend.
make that introduction. I will make that recommendation. Yeah.
Which is such a lost art, I think, in business today. I was reading this great article. It was actually written by a guy who works in hospitality here in Vegas. And I will forward this to you because you'll love it.
Yeah.
He was talking about how life has become so transactional. And the lack of like warmth and relationship and like that good old school. I know people are like old school, no.
Yeah.
But it's like that, handshake, like my word is the law. And like, I don't, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Creating those relationships. I feel like in your world, in the event space, you have to have that, right? I mean, I feel like it's almost a non-negotiable in the event world.
Yeah. I mean, yes, having your word, but owning it when you no longer do. It's that piece. Because I can sit there and tell you, Caitlin, I'm going to be on your podcast. And I wake up that morning and there's just something in me and I can't explain it.
Right.
Maybe I could. Maybe I just don't feel comfortable. But owning it and reaching out and accept,
The
versus...
truth is so incredible.
Yeah.
Even if it's a truth that you think they're not going to want to hear this.
Yeah.
I can at least move from a place of like authenticity once I know where you're at, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a pretty profound reminder today. I can't help you. I always say that to my team.
Yeah.
I can't help you if I don't understand like the severity of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Is it a fire or is it like a little like puddle in the gutter that we're just trying to jump over?
Yeah.
And I will help you no matter what it is, right? I think you live and breathe that in your industry just every day with the fires that can happen with events.
Fires all the time. All the time. And you know what's funny? Being in that leadership role, one of the things that really, like, I've been working on lately is I come from, why'd you move that cup? To, did you move that cup? Stop assuming, let them speak and tell you more versus presuming and getting to, the conclusions,
Presumption wastes so much of our energy, doesn't it? And we all do it. I think, like, inherently, if you have half of a conscience and a soul and you're trying your best, right? We all do that. And, like, you're so right. It's like seek to understand, not presume what they did or did not do.
Yeah. And one thing to me that stands out is, how you're talking about those traditional business practice and ways. It's slowly fading. that culture is shifting. The culture we grew up admiring and aspiring to be a part of.
That's right.
It doesn't exist the same anymore. So yeah, but remember when people used to be afraid of their boss? I mean, people still are. People still are. Don't get me wrong. But that is not the type of leadership that I like. I want my team to know they can come to me when they're scared.
Yes.
There's nothing they're scared to tell me because they know I've got their back.
That's right.
I'm going to help troubleshoot. I'm not going to punish them for an instance, but I'll speak to them if I see a pattern.
Ooh, say that again. That was good.
So, yeah, I won't get so hung up on an instance, but when I see a pattern, that's when I know I need to address this. I need to sit down and, get to the bottom of it. But an instance, take note.
And that's good leadership. And I think sometimes it's hard being a leader in today's environment, to your great point. The workforce has just changed so much, just no matter what, nonprofit events, media production. The way we live and connect to others is just so different. I love what you said, though, too. I never want to be the boss someone's afraid of, ever. And am I going to love everything you tell me? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I can do a lot with the facts, like just knowing what's going on. If it's personal, if it's professional, if it's whatever. I'm going through an interesting season right now in my professional life. I've had some staff transitions going on, and those are always very, very difficult. I'll speak for myself. For me, they give me a heartburn. They keep me up late at night. But one of the things I think that those transitions have always done for me as a creative, really, is get me thinking, am I doing the right thing? Am I putting, the priority at the front, right? The organization is always the priority, right? In our work, our mission. Same for you, right? We're all trying to raise our budget or hit our revenue goals or, create outcomes that are meaningful for our clients or for us, in our case, our donors and the constituents that come to the museum. Yeah. And I think I'm really grateful for this conversation with you today. Number one, because you're kind of a centering person for me. You are. But also because I think a lot of the people who listen to this are young and they're up and coming in their careers. And I love taking the opportunities to give them, the real raw, authentic, purview of what it's like to be in these industries and working professionally. So, Dot, I want to know, do you have a story, a memory, or an event that sticks out or is seared in your memory that you're like, this was one of those moments in my career that I was like, I don't know. I love this, or I don't know if this is for me?
I've had quite a few of those. And I'd say the most piercing ones were the ones leading up to this book, or the decision with the book.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of like, all the things that once excited me, I would love when people came to me with questions. I was annoyed by them. I didn't want to deal with them. So yeah, I had a couple of instances that was just like, okay, here I am venting to a good friend, an artist who's in the book, telling her what's going on. And she just responded so simply. She's like, Dot, your soul's no longer aligned with what you're doing.
Ugh. Dagger.
I know.
Dagger.
The way she just said it so simply after I rambled for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. And it's not that I don't love events. I just know that there was more I'm supposed to be doing. So, yeah.
Your soul's purpose is, and it's, you really kind of hit this on the head with your earlier comment about the generation we were raised by and kind of mentored by in our careers, right? As professional women, because that's who we are. And we're sharp and we're the best. But I think there's something to be said about the journey of a professional career, the life cycle of one is not the same today. And it's in the best of ways.
Yeah.
This idea that I think so many young people, I see it in them and I'm like, yes, you're so inspiring, is I can reinvent myself over and over and over again. And I can do things like this gorgeous piece of work.
Yeah.
That fill my soul while I am also doing something I'm really good at. Because oftentimes, too, folks, young people, Please listen to us. Don't be like us. Do as we say, not as we do, maybe. You get to a point where you're good at what you do. You are an expert in your field. And I'm an expert in my field. I know how to do this work. But also with that, we are creative beings.
Yeah.
And, my brother makes so much fun of me. He's like, you always audition for shows, you get in them, and then the whole time you do a B and an M. A bitch and a moan. Oh, I'm tired. I'm this. I don't know. Right? Do you like that?
Yes.
Not bowel movement, people. Not bowel movement. We're not going viral for that. A bitch and a moan.
Yeah.
And he's right? Like the creative process is not always kisses and rainbows. For me personally, I'll speak.
Yeah.
Again, starting this podcast, we were talking about this off camera. I waited years and years and years, to do this. Knowing what I know now, I'm so regretful in a way.
Yeah.
But I'm also reflective and honoring the fact that everything that's meant for me will find me at the time it's supposed to find me.
Yeah.
And that is a hard pill to swallow too, because we all know the timelines that the world, they said we should be following,
Yeah.
Single with a dog. 38 years old, thought I would be a mom, thought I would be married, thought I would be living my little, I don't know what I thought I was going to be doing. But I think all this to say that, I think most people require a creative outlet outside of their work, because this deserves to see the light of day, and it deserves to have people read it and go, yes, I feel that in my soul. And that's what creativity does. It gives us that moment to connect together, right?
It's our life force. We are born to, no, I don't want to say that, but we're designed to procreate. There's literally the word create in there.
Yes.
And there are other ways to channel that energy.
Totally.
And a lot of the times it flows into art. So, yeah, I was that teenager who was a little bit of a hermit, a little bit of a nerd. I had a million crushes, and I wrote about them all in my poems. But yeah, that's where it really started to come out, and I didn't even acknowledge that that's what was happening. It's when I would reflect back on that, I'm like, okay, wow, I have a lot of poems. Maybe I'm a poet. Oh no, but I'm not good enough. No, I'm not good enough to, because then I go to spoken word and slam poetry, and my poetry is very different from that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a little Dr. Seussical. You pick up on the rhyme pattern like that.
Give me a vibe. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
I love a good rhyme.
So when you were talking earlier about timing and everything in my head, which I tweeted it a couple days ago, but show yourself some grace. We don't all tick at the same pace. So we're not on that same clock, even though there is a standard time. What's the standard? It depends where you are and who you are.
Right.
And in your environment. There's so many things influencing it. And if you just believe in perfect time, you'll honor that things are coming to you at the time it's meant to. You don't have to force it. Force for me is a sign that I'm pushing and it's not naturally happening. And I'm not saying don't ever push, but be aware of how much you do or don't,
And standards, I think, to me, and this is the beauty of my late 30s, is conformity. And there's this very rebellious piece of me. It is so opposite of the Virgo type A OCD girl that I am. But I am such a rebel in so many ways. If you tell me that's the way I look, I'm going to look like this. And if you tell me this is what I should sound like, I'm going to sound like this. And it's so funny because I think what I've witnessed in my personal life, and then just witnessing others who I admire, the greatest connection to humanity is being fully yourself, and not apologizing and not trying to fit into a box. And we've all done it, right? When we're little, we're kids, your earliest memories, right? School teaches you, sit down in your chair and be quiet like the others, and that's how and it's like, I often think to myself, if I ever had a child and they were wild and they were just talky and lively, much like myself, I would love that. I would never want to like stop that or stifle that, you
Yeah.
know? But it's true. You're so right. And I think the season, the reason, the pace, the timelines, you know, it's exhausting. I was just thinking to myself today, I'm like, I feel so like on the clock, right? Like I got to do this, I got to post on social, I got to do this. And I'm like, but why do I think that? Who is telling me that,
Yeah.
right? Because at any moment I could just say, no, thank you. You know, like respectfully, my
Yeah.
favorite, respectfully.
That's a new favorite for me. Yeah, no, I get it. I also had another ego death when my Instagram was hacked and deleted.
Oh,
And I had to restart over. So here I am building myself back up, and I didn't even want to get back on social media at first. But then I'm like, you're in what? PR, communications, marketing, and you're not on social media?
you're not gonna have like an account,
Yeah.
like a little account, no.
And funny story, with this book, I have that laid back attitude because I don't want it to feel like work. Everybody's like, where's the website for the book? Where's the Instagram for the book? I'm like, there's a hashtag. If you really want to connect with
all you gotta
others
do,
on
babe.
the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm building the hashtag. I'll nurture it. It'll always be there on any platform. Hashtag anthologically speaking.
There you go.
It's a mouthful,
I love it.
but yeah.
You know, girl, I'm a very wordy, verbose lady. Like, I'm like,
Yes.
this is for me. So let's dive in because I think, first of all, I'm so proud of you. I know
Thank you.
there are so many people that admire you because you are such an incredible human being who does extraordinary things literally just by existing on this earth. So talk to my listeners a little bit about the road to this. What was the inspiration? You have a lot of beautiful pieces in here, and not only, oh my God, and this is wild. Not only the written word, but these gorgeous like art pieces in here that are
Yeah.
just spectacular. So what was the process like? Like, where did the inspiration come? Who were the artists you connected with? Like,
Yeah.
what was that like?
Really good question. Because I was sitting with the bulk of the poems already. I spent some time like, how are you going to organize this? Are there going to be chapters? How is it going to flow? Are you going to start oldest to youngest? Like, so then I'm like, well, I see themes. So I started to organize the chapters by themes, from flirting and dating, then the relationship, then the breakups, then the takeaways, and the heartache. And basically that's how I built the chapters of the book. So once that piece was done, I'm like, all right, time to assign.
Let's do it.
And I had this grand plan. I'm reaching out to these 20 artists. They're each getting 3 poems. Perfect. 60 poems. Good.
Love it.
Yeah, it didn't really go so smoothly. It really didn't.
You mean the creative process wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be, Dot?
I had to take off my
Audacity.
professional hat and fasten that creative artist hat because that's the space that I was in, especially with self-publishing. So yeah, I'd give an artist 5 months, and a week later, after the deadline, they need more time. Or the artist says, the art's coming this weekend. And a month later, I still don't
Great.
have it.
Yeah.
And life is happening to them too. So I completely understand. But that's when, rather than being frustrated, upset, or saddened, I was like, it's okay. It's going to take a little more time. Because I wanted this to be my Christmas gift to myself, my Christmas gift to the world. And it ended up being this beautiful spring flower that's starting to blossom right now. So yes, I chose my top poems. And then I wrote a couple more to kind of fill in and really bring a chapter to life, which is the first chapter.
I love it.
So the majority of the poems are written from obviously a female perspective.
Yes.
And there are a couple that are pretty neutral.
yeah.
But I challenged myself to write from the male perspective with a couple of the poems in the first chapter. And that's when I was like, wow. I think I did a decent job. But as I talk to men and I'm getting the feedback, I'm like, maybe I do a little more than decent.
Okay, girl. All right. She's in tune. She's listening. We can get into our masculine and feminine at any time, right?
It's a duality that coexists in everyone. It really does. You can't lean too much into one side. You have to
need both.
Yes.
In life, just like we need men and women, we need the masculine and feminine energy of our soul, of who we are, to make the world more beautiful and more inspired and more colorful.
Yeah. And I noticed that transition in my leadership. I began my leadership role with more masculine energy. And it's still there. But I've noticed the feminine energy blossoming within it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Art, and I think that's the beauty of this project is it flows into the other parts of your life, your relationships, your job, your other hobbies and things you love. It does. It brings an energy with it. Okay, so I'm dying to know if you were like, this is my favorite, and I hate doing this to you because this is such a mean thing to do to any artist. What is a piece in here that you're just like, this, here it is. Like, this is it, world.
Object permanence.
Ooh.
Yeah,
okay.
that's one of my top 3.
Okay.
I like it because it's a little on the short and simple side, but very deep. And, object permanence, Freud.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that and love at the same time. I believe object permanence is in the chapter called Intel, where I talk about the intellect and intelligence that comes from.
It is in chapter 5. Okay.
Yeah. So object permanence. I don't memorize my poems, but this one I do because I have a good friend who's a musician and a producer, a comedian. This guy just lives creatively.
I love it.
He pulls out his guitar and starts strumming. He's like, read a poem. Start singing now. And I'm like, what? So object permanence was the one that I just felt in the moment. And in turning that one into a song is how I learned that poem much better. So the audiobook is definitely happening.
Oh, I'm going to be downloading that the second I walk out of here because I love, I've been just dying to find really, really good things to listen to when I'm in the car. And not so much music. I love music. I will always, I have a very eclectic palette.
Same.
But especially knowing your voice and how much I'm like, this is such a calming voice to listen to. This is, I turned right to it, first of all, which is wild. I don't know how that just happened.
Magic.
And music is a very powerful memorizing tool.
Yeah.
I think if someone was like, why do you still do theater? Especially my brother. You bitch and you moan through the whole process. You're so exhausted. You're so this. I said, it's a couple of things. Number one, it's an outlet for joy. It's an outlet for my fears, my sorrows, all of that. But it's also keeps my mind sharp. When I have to memorize things, tracks, words, music, lyrics, it keeps you on point,
We remember things and rhymes and patterns and metaphors. So it was just natural after it became a song to be able to remember it. Since nothing lasts forever, how dare we use the word? Please tell me how to measure a length that's only been heard. I mean, okay, let me see. If no one is seen forever, what do we really expect from words like always or permanent that fall short in some respect? Take a permanent marker, for instance, or a lovely ink tattoo. Is there object permanence for what bleach and laser can undo? Yeah. I think I kind of got stuck right there. But
No, it's so beautiful. And it's just, I think, first of all, I love the rhyminess of it. That's the music person in me. I love that. But the way that you, I think, talk about life, that's what this book to me represents. You see life through this incredible lens of humanity and reality and the love that's infused into this. When you said it's kind of like, the crushes and the breakups and the heartaches.
Yeah.
And I love that so much.
Remind me what page that's on.
108. 108. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love the photo with it. Now, are all the pieces of art in here these beautiful images? Did these come from artists as well? Did these come from like literally your collection of photos you've taken?
Almost every piece in there was an artist that submitted that. So Shahab Zagari, dear friend, incredible creative across so many mediums, right? Film, photography, music. This guy's just bananas.
Incredible.
And I love him to death. He submitted that photography, that piece that you're looking at right
Beautiful.
there. I think he has the most pieces in the book.
Does he?
He might. No, Pretty Done. I think Pretty Done has 2 more.
2 more? Okay. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Object permanence is very near and dear to my heart. And I wrote that one, if not in college, like shortly after moving to Vegas. I'm not sure if it was like my senior year or like the first year here in Vegas.
Yeah.
So,
is it funny to read these though and hear your younger self or yourself in different phases, and like, does it have that nostalgia that a lot of things, right? Scents, different foods, colors. I imagine that this is it's a love letter to yourself, which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah. When I read some of the poetry from high school, I'm like, good God, Mal, like what? And again, as an adult, I want to edit that. I want to fix her perspective at that time. And it's like, no, you have to preserve that because there's so many people who are in that space.
Yes.
And that's part of what's motivating me to share that. Someone told me the other day, it sounded like you were speaking for me after I shared a poem. And that's the thing, like we're unique in experience, but not in our feelings. So I just wanted to let people know that you're not alone in what you're thinking and what you're feeling. I felt it too. But here's my situation, or here was my circumstance, or here's how I made sense of it and put it into words. So yeah, a lot of people feel seen and they feel heard, even though no one saw that happen or no one heard them speak about it.
Well, and sometimes as creatives, I think one of the biggest challenges, opportunities, burdens, however you see that, is that people are using our words or our performance or some thoughts that we've shared to breathe life to what they're feeling. Because a lot of people have a hard time putting words to, those emotions and situations. Yeah. And what a beautiful opportunity. One of my favorite trends, there are very few of them that I'm like, yes, is that one on TikTok where that girl started, I took my younger self to coffee. Girl, I went down a rabbit hole, and I will send it to you if you haven't heard it. Because this is giving me those vibes. She just did this video one day, right? And she read this beautiful poem. She's a poet like you. I think I ordered her book too. I'm very, very impressed by poetry in today's world too is so powerful. But it took off, and I think what was so incredible is to hear people use that prompt almost to talk about what they would say to their younger self. And I have not written mine out fully yet. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. But I really want to do that one, even if it's just for myself to just have, because, I think when you're younger, whatever young means to you, by the way, people, young can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. But I think every decade of myself, I think back on like what my worries were and what my fears were and what the things I was so jazzed about and hyped about. And it's so incredible to know that like 30 versions of me exist, and I'm going to meet many versions of who I am.
Yes.
And that is so amazing and terrifying all at once. Like, all right, I got it locked down. I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. And I think the biggest gift of adulthood, really, and being in your adulthood, is the idea that you can change your mind, that life changes. Time changes the way we see things, when you grow up in certain households, I think, right? Whether it's strict, religious, very political, not political at all. I think a lot of those things, and we're seeing it in the world right now, it kind of colors the initial way we receive the world. But I think my challenge to myself, my challenge to anyone around me is to see the world like we did when we were kids, without this lens of judgment, without this lens of like, we know best, we know how it should be, and just like observe people for who they are. Most people don't want you to change them. They're looking for acceptance of just who they are, and that's okay. The word okay, right? Again, a little controversial, but I think I love that you have kind of memorialized these phases and stages of yourself. So how old were you throughout this book, do you feel? Like, were you, like, what was the youngest poetry that we'll find in here?
22 years.
Oh my gosh.
High school crush. I believe it's called... I'm not even sure what it's called.
You're like, there's so many poems.
Yeah, it's a poem about how I was definitely crushing hard over this one guy. And most of it would happen from just looking and holding one of his pictures. Do you remember when you would hold pictures?
Yes, remember when you would get them? Like, you'd go to the mall or you'd go to, like, school photos and you would write your little name and your little heart on the back and you'd give them to people. Yes, I do, girl.
So,
we bring that back. I did love that. I loved real pictures. Because my iPhone, I feel like things get lost.
Oh, yeah. I have this little picture printer that my good friend Taylor shared with me.
So cute.
So when I journal, if something just really needs that picture, I'll print it and put it in there. But at least, like...
So cute.
Being able to see it outside of the digital space.
Yes.
That's what's beautiful. Same thing with my poetry.
Yes.
The fact that it's accessible in this form right now after 22 years, it's like...
It's so wild. It's, you know, I've loved seeing all of your posts on social and all of these beautiful celebrations from your tribe of friends and colleagues and just... You know, again, we don't know the effects that that we create, that we breathe life to, we share our truth with. We don't know how that will impact others. And I think you have certainly inspired me to continue creating. You know, this podcast is creating.
Yes.
And getting to talk to incredible people that I know like you that are just... You have so much wisdom and depth and experience and just vulnerability to share who you are and what you're doing. I want to thank you because this is such a gift to myself, to my listeners who will get to have kind of a little window into this conversation, this little kiki at the table.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So, Dot, what's next for you? When you do something of this magnitude that is like, it is a labor of love, the hours, the time, the sleepless nights to probably get here, I imagine were incredible. And now it's here. So what's next?
I'm working on the audiobook. So because I wanted this, ideally I was like, I want a coffee table book.
Love.
So here we are with this coffee table
Presented.
book. And I still am pretty stern about this needs to be hardcover. People need to hold this. They need to feel the weight of what they're processing while they're processing these deep feelings.
I love it.
But the audiobook is next. I've realized that no one is going to read it with the same cadence and the pausing. So rather than readers just only having their own voice, their internal voice to hear it in, they'll be able to hear it in my voice as well. So,
which is a really, if you haven't already caught on, people, a very soothing voice.
Thank you.
A very wise voice. I feel like you've been an old soul your whole life. You came to Earth and it was just like, the knowing of what it is to be alive and to enjoy life. You have certainly shown me the way, Dot, and I am so grateful. So what I would like to do, we do this every episode, and it's one of my favorite parts because I get to be quiet and just listen and observe. So we always give our guests an opportunity to share something that they're excited about, what they're doing. Because we have this gorgeous piece of work, I feel like I would love it if you would indulge me to read a little excerpt from here of a piece.
Okay.
And then tell the listeners where they can find this.
Sure.
Currently, before the audiobook comes out.
Oh my goodness. Choosing a poem is so tough.
I put you on the spot,
Yeah.
didn't I?
I think I'm going to read the last piece in the book,
I love it.
which ironically was the most recent poem I've written right before I published it. It was like, so I got this good idea from a friend, and it was already an idea, but I just didn't take it seriously. So here I am showing my friend the proof.
Yes.
And he was like, it'd be really cool if you put one poem, but leave the page blank for the reader to put their own art. And I was like, that idea crossed my mind.
Oh.
Thank you. I will do it. So I pull up my drafts, all the little ideas, skimming through it. And I had this concept for a poem where I was playing with staring at someone and stairs as in steps.
Oh.
So I wrote a couple words down. And then when I found it in my drafts, I was like, oh, I'm ready to write this one. I have enough data.
Enough data.
Enough
I
data.
love it.
So, yeah, stare away. Here it is.
I love it.
Oh, I'll just take the stairs. Apparently, I could use the exercise. Yes, it's best to take the stairs. A solution to reach a compromise. Pacing, piercing, our eyes met. Look away, walk away, don't miss a step. I won't bother with an escalator. Things between us quickly escalated. I've been stuck inside an elevator, standing still but feeling undulated. Fight or flight, the next step is harder to take. I need to keep a safe distance. Skipping steps is a fool's mistake. Oh, I'll just take the stairs. Apparently I could use the exercise. Yeah, it's better to take the stairs. A solution I should normalize. This is spiraling, out of control even with the rails. Never mind my shortness of breath, I have succeeded if all else fails. My heart races, trying to keep up on each landing. As I ascend to the next story, I worry if I'm still in good standing. Step by step, I feel I'm pulling your gaze. I climb a little faster, so you step up and out of your ways. Oh, I'll just take the stairs. Apparently I could use the exercise. Okay, it's good to take the stairs. A solution for me to empathize. Looking lost is merely a tactic. Your eyes stare well beyond the veil. Beneath the stairs, there is open space, but with a wall up, it's hard to tell. Alas, another set of stairs, and it appears my steps have lightened. How far I've come, and it appears my steps have lightened. I slowly look over the banister, how far I've come, how tension heightened. Time to conquer intimidation. Turn around and face the stairs. One more step in the right direction, one step closer to unsettled affairs. Now I'll embrace the stairs, returning some for you to analyze. Of course, embrace the stairs. This staircase is just an exercise.
Ugh. I'm giving snaps and I'm giving claps because that was so good and so beautiful.
Thank
and
you.
if this is any indication of what you can expect from this gorgeous, gorgeous gift to the world, anthologically speaking, by my dear friend Melissa
Yes.
Desrameaux, aka M.O., which I love.
That's my pen name.
Our pen
Yes,
name,
like
I
I
love
needed
it.
another nickname.
We're just adding to the pile. I love it because it's just, we all know you in different fashions.
Yeah.
So they can find this on Amazon.
Yes.
And they can get a physical copy. I love books. I love the smell of books. I'm going to do this right now. It's going to drive people nuts. See, there's a smell. There's a smell to books. And then your audiobook of this will come out later this year.
It'll most likely be 2026.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So they can get the book and then they'll be able to hear your reading of all of these beautiful pieces.
I'm aiming for the anniversary, but as we spoke earlier with perfect timing, I will definitely show myself some grace if it's later, but 2026.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Well, Dot, thank you for being with me. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you
just
for
a Beautiful
caring.
discussion. Oh, I do. I've been cheering you on, and just seeing this, it inspires me to do the creative projects I want to do. I know this will inspire others, anthologically speaking. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
I love it. It's incredible. As always, everybody, I will have the socials for Dot for this beautiful work of art. We would love for you to like, subscribe, and follow along each week so that you get to hear more of these incredible stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, please like, subscribe, and follow us at Convos with Kate on all social platforms. It would mean the world to me. See you next week.